It's a cold case that drew national attention in recent weeks, the death of a teenage girl possibly linked to a serial killer named BTK. Cynthia Dawn Kinney disappeared in 1976, and the Osage County Sheriff calls Dennis Rader the prime suspect. However, the local DA says there isn't enough information to label him a suspect. Tonight, 2 News anchor Sharon Phillips is digging deeper into this case as the investigation continues.
It's a town known for its beloved mercantile, bakery, and restaurant made famous by one pioneer woman. But also in Osage County lies the dark secret of a missing teenage girl, a devastated family, and a battle of investigators. Cynthia Dawn Kinney was just 16 years old when she disappeared from this laundromat in June of 1976.
This particular day, my understanding from the reports, she goes in to cover the laundromat by herself because the other person that worked it had to go out of town for a short time to another location.
Investigators say it appears that Cynthia left in a hurry from this laundromat where she worked part-time. They say on the counter they found her purse, a drink, and a half-eaten donut. After that day, Cindy, as she was known to friends and family, was never heard from again, leaving her family heartbroken and investigators without answers. Fast forward decades later, and Osage County Sheriff Eddie Verdon begins to look deeper into her case. Sheriff Verdon says the investigation led him to personally interview BTK killer Dennis Rader at a prison in Kansas, where he is serving life in prison after confessing to killing 10 people.
He said, "Would you like to know about a fantasy I always wanted to do?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And he said, "I always wanted to kidnap a girl from a laundromat."
Following that statement by Rader, Sheriff Verdon says he got permission to go through the files of the BTK murders and began to pore over writings of Dennis Rader obtained by investigators.
He had started a book that he was in the process of making with 13 chapters in it, the crimes and the murders.
Verdon says Rader would often refer to his victims as projects.
In that book that he was making, he had everything was a project. Okay, he came up with a project name for everything. He still does this today. He calls me Project Cowboy. But when you get to 1976, which is when Cindy went missing, he's got a project called Bad Wash Day. In that, he indicates that he would watch laundromats, do certain things.
As Verdon is piecing the puzzle together, he says he looked at the fantasy that Rader told him about during his interview, and then the journal entry about a bad wash day and other evidence, and it's all coming together in his mind.
I absolutely, at this point, he is the best suspect in this case, our prime suspect at this time.
However, Osage County District Attorney Mike Fisher says he needs more information to connect Dennis Rader to the murder of Cynthia Dawn Kinney. It's also important to note that Rader has not confessed to killing her, as he did with his other victims. As the sheriff and the DA continued to dispute over whether or not Rader was involved, people here in Pawhuska say they just want closure for her family.
Well, I was in college at the time and heard what had happened here, and the town was just devastated.
J. Anita Burnett says a possible connection to Dennis Rader has been devastating for this small town.
Yes, it has, especially the family and a lot of her classmates. It's hit them hard again to go back and remember.
Burnett says she hopes that with the national spotlight on Cynthia's case, someone will come forward.
I hope soon that the parents will get some answers over all this, because they need closure.
In Osage County, Sharon Phillips, 2 News, Oklahoma.
Sheriff Eddie Verdon says he will continue his investigation into who killed Cynthia Dawn Kinney. Right now, a national task force using the skills of federal and local law enforcement from Oklahoma and Kansas is working to help solve cases linked to Dennis Rader.